yesterday. It's nice today.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
How's she been?
Good.
Yeah, we've had a pretty big week in terms of, I don't know if you saw us, we were here during the day, like during like the earlier afternoon probably.
Okay.
That's what I said yesterday.
Oh no, but we
Oh.
walk through all the time. So.
Yeah, that's fair. We're like always here.
But you know, there were multiple baseball games going on, and volleyball and spike ball and all that, and we like totally off the leash recalls, just back and forth, like, you know, there was no problem with a lot of that this week. And like she's come a pretty long way.
Yeah.
Doing more down place. She's
Getting better there.
very good.
Okay.
So, yeah, we just had I feel like we've had a productive week.
Nice.
And I'm feeling good about it. And I feel like it's making her way more relaxed, like, at any other time of the day. So, I don't know if that's normal or what, or if
That's
it's
the
just her.
yeah. It's the theory of how this stuff works.
Yeah.
So with remote collar, what makes it such an effective tool is one, there's no complications. Okay. So with prong collar, you can crank as hard as you want, and if her mental state is beyond that, you're not going to manage it. Two, and this is my just line of thinking and theory, but let's say I have a dog that's scared of people and it's fear aggressive, and we have it on prong collar. The dog's being aggressive to someone maybe trying to pet them, and the owner would correct that dog. Okay. The owner would be fine correcting the dog because there's trust there. But the problem is, in my opinion, I feel like the dog was like, I'm scared of this person, this is a potential threat, why am I being corrected? Because it's a valid response. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So with e-collar, we don't get that. We don't get that conflict, we don't get that confusion of like, why am I being corrected, by my owner? It's completely neutral, dog doesn't know where it's coming from. So when I work with a fear aggressive dog, like I have a bite suit that protects me, and I do the one thing that the dog doesn't want, which is contact. So we go, I pet the dog, the dog's on a leash, the dog freaks out, poops itself, vomits, pees, all that stuff, becomes aggressive, and I'm touching it, right? I'm not doing any energy, I'm not yelling at it, anything like that. The owner is correcting to stop the aggression, saying that's not a valid response. And then when the dog dials down, I'm still petting it. The dog goes, when I act out aggressively, this happens. When I chill out, nothing happens, and you're not hurting me.
Yeah.
And you weren't scared of me, and there was no negative energy. And then I walk away, and we repeat, and then we build on that. And then ideally, the dog turns around and then begins to open up to people because that irrational fear isn't there anymore. It's corrected. But if we did bring in prong collar, I can't correct the dog because I'm the thing the dog is scared of.
Yep.
Right? So that's why one, e-collar is so effective in that regard. Right? The other thing is just, again, matching anxiety levels. Like here, remember the first class?
Yeah.
And look at her now. She's like sunbathing in her little ray of light right now, right?
Yeah.
The ears are back, just like...
Yeah, she's passive. And earlier, the way she was holding herself was a little bit kind of insecure, but the anxiety that we saw that first class wasn't there because now she's becoming more familiar with things, right? So now, if let's say we take her in an environment that was super busy, maybe very loud and stuff, and she did get anxious and maybe flighty or whatever it is, I can shut her down with e-collar because I can match the intensity of the brain with the e-collar, but also be non-confrontational.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, and then she learns to just settle and accept the environment, and as we repeat that, she's like, oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, it's like her getting more confident.
Yeah. So building confidence in a dog is, so let's say we have a dog that's very, like an anxious in this environment. If you came here with no e-collar, and you did it every day, most likely you wouldn't make progress because the dog is stuck in anxiety.
Yeah.
But once you knock that out, the dog's still anxious, but now the dog's processing exactly what's going on, and then and figuring out that there's no need to be anxious. And then the confidence comes up. They're like, oh, it was all in my head. Like it's not as bad here, right? Because now with the exposure, there was a means of shutting down the brain so it can process. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I take advantage of anything that I see the dog has issues with. I use it to my advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, every little thing. So if I get a dog that's scared of busy streets, well, I'm gonna walk down a busy street every single day now.
Yeah.
And we make that quick progress. Okay, so good. That's how it's supposed to work. Okay, it's not always 100%. That's the theory of how it works. Those dogs need more, specific exercises, things like that. But good, excellent. Anything else?
No, I watched like the first 15 minutes of the video of the like stranger coming into.
Oh, sure.
But I have not
Completed the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you get a chance, okay. Other questions? Okay. And with that video, I think probably the first half, once we start doing, like if the owner starts backing the dog up and you get like a good feel of that,
Yeah.
that's really the most
the
of
meat
it.
of it? Okay.
Yeah. The last half is probably me just like explaining things for their particular case.
Yeah.
You're going to be different, okay? Because that dog could actually, when people come in, would go and actively bite them. So they're going to get different information. If you want to learn more, you're more than happy to watch it. More than welcome to watch it. But yeah, okay.
Okay.
So we got place command. We've done sit, seal, we did recall and stuff. So the last thing we're going to cover in terms of putting in remote is the down. Okay. Now she does have a down. Does she do verbal cue, or do you need to use like a visual cue? Do you need to use treats?
We don't need to use treats. Although I haven't, who knows how it will be today. I feel like I haven't do it in a while. But we do the verbal and just
down or point?
Yeah,
down and point. And I don't.
Should be able to do it verbally, but if we need to follow up or clarify, I feel like that you might just
Point.
down.
Okay. Go ahead and show me just a couple times what your down looks like currently. No remote.
Okay. Kirby. Down. No. Down. Good girl.
Go ahead and release her. We'll try one more.
Okay.
Okay. Kirby, sit.
Okay.
Down. Good girl.
Okay. Not too bad.
So
Well,
we got to a point where we were teaching to roll over for fun, and so then the down just became a immediately down flop over.
yeah.
Kirby.
She won't do it now. We're not trying to go there.
Okay.
We're not doing fun stuff.
Okay.
So,
It's okay.
so she's got a fairly decent down. What we're going to do is we're going to layer remote over that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be the final, I believe, command, other than sit, which is super easy, like the formal sit.
Yep.
Because we've done auto sit. And then after this, it's really, we have the socialization stuff.
Yep.
Which you can schedule whenever you like.
Yep.
And then it's moving all the stuff towards off leash. Okay. So with down, it's not as simple as down and remote the dog, and they just tie those two things together. You have to reteach it using the pressure. Okay. Because a lot of times when you try to remote a dog into a down position, they tend to pop up.
Okay.
Okay. Because you're essentially using physical force to put them in a vulnerable position. Often they don't like that, so then they panic or freak out. They might get a little spazzy. So we have to use the pressure first, teach them how to resolve it for that particular command, and then we will relayer in the cue of down. Okay? So we're gonna, let's see, we'll go over here in the little grass, shady area. When you taught the down, was it with treats? Was it with the prong collar?
It was just a treat.
Yeah, we'll do treats.
Not with problem.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is let's go ahead and put her in a sitting position.
Kirby, sit.
And you can go ahead and, that's fine where you're at. We're gonna try it one way first, and if it doesn't work, we'll try it a different way. With your leash, you're gonna go pull towards left so that your right foot can step on the bottom of it there. And you're gonna put a little bit of pressure on the back of her neck with that when you step on it. Okay, go ahead and take up a little bit more slack. Like another 3 or so inches. Right there. Okay, so you see how you can feel like a downward pressure on her neck?
Yeah.
What's your number set at?
42.
42? Let's go ahead and go down to 25. So you see how she moved her neck too? So she kind of eased up the slack. So you're going to reposition that leash so that you'll feel the pressure on the back of her neck. Okay?
Yep.
And we're not going to say anything here. We're just going to tap.
Just tap.
Mm-hmm. We're going to look at Kirby tap, 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 tap. We're at 25, so go to 30.
Incredibly unamused. Unperturbed.
Yep. Tap. Tap. Go ahead and step higher. Like that. Good. Tap. 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 Step a little higher. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. And pray.
Oh, good girl.
I was like, is she gonna do it?
I know she's
Is she not gonna do it? Okay. So So we're gonna repeat that 4 more times, okay? So we're teaching her here how to respond to pressure. Okay, so there has to be direction. In this case, it's downwards.
Yep.
So what's helping us here is the fact that she has a familiarity with the cue of down, with food. Okay, we're just trying to teach her there's another like means of going about it as opposed to this, as opposed to the word.
Yep.
Now it's with the remote. Okay.
I just had a random question going back to place that just popped in my mind, so don't forget about it. I feel like when I'm guiding her to a different place, because I've been moving all around with different spots and different things, I'm like pointing to it. Is that like okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing I dissuade, and at the end of the day, I care about function more than anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Is what I try not to do with clients is have them walk the dog all the way there.
Yeah.
Because then it's a constant thing. I'd like just to be like place, right?
Yeah.
But that's perfectly fine if you could like point visually.
If it's like, if I've been like 5 feet away, I've been like place. So she's like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway.
I'm like, my preference is like real subtle cues.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a big fan. Like, I get some clients with, I'm like, does the dog no down? They're like, yeah, down.
They guide you all the way to
yeah,
the
they do that
floor.
really exaggerated
I'll sit down with you.
So I'm like a very like down. If I'm gonna use a visual cue, it's a very subtle
Yeah.
thing. Otherwise, it's always verbal.
Yep.
Otherwise, like I point myself if I'm gonna do a place, like place.
Yeah.
So there's like a visual cue, but it's not like the place.
No. Yeah.
Oh, the whole thing, right? And that's just me being picky. Let's go ahead and grab our leash, and we're gonna tell her break or free.
Okay.
There we go. And we're gonna repeat that 4 more times. Okay, so we're not using that verbal cue. We're just using that subtle leash pressure and remote to get her to go into that position.
Kirby, sit.
There, girl. Yep. 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 Lightly as you're tapping with your right hand, you're gonna put pressure on the butt. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yeah. 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 That's good. Yeah. And what you can do here is shorten your leash again because she's crooked her neck. There you go. Right there. Yep. Yep. Yeah. 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 You're at 30, right? So 35. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, praise.
Good girl. Good girl. There was a down. Very good. Very good.
So every time she moves in a manner that resolves the pressure without getting what we want, I'll either tighten the leash, and so when she stood up, there was no pressure there because the way she was like standing.
Yeah.
So then by putting her butt down, it created that pressure, and then she went down lower, and we took up more slack, bumped her a little bit, and then she does the rest. Okay?
Yeah.
3 more.
Okay. 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 Hi. Kirby, sit. Good girl.
Right there.
Very good.
And praise.
Good girl.
So good.
Dude, I know I have the belly now, right?
Yeah, 2 more.
Okay. Kirby, okay.
Okay.
Sit. Kirby, sit. No.
Tap. There you go. Let's go and dip it down. Let's go to 25 again, because now she's feeling the full 35. And then, yep, you're good. There you go. Yep. Wait a sec. Let's see what she does here. Yep.
Good job.
And there we go. She's a very broken dog.
Seriously.
Okay, then we're gonna do 1 more. Once she gets this,
Okay.
after weeks of practice, you should get a nice smooth distance.
Oh, yeah.
Sit.
Alright, so here, what we're gonna do is you're gonna lightly pull up on your leash and give a tap, 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 and relax. Good. So now we'll take we're gonna keep her in that position, but we're gonna take a quick tangent. Is trainers will tell you not to teach down from sit, okay? Because you create that stand, sit, down motion.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a big no-no in the dog training community. But that's if you're doing competition type stuff, because you don't want that happening in the ring. when it comes to family pet, it's easier to teach a dog from a down than it is from a standing position for the average dog owner. Okay, so if that happens and she assumes because she's seen that sequence, then we would correct it because we want her to do it, of course, when we give that pressure. So if she sat and then right when you went to step on the leash, she did it, she's actually recognizing the foot, which is technically part of the command.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I would let it go because technically it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you see that happen prior, you wait a moment, correct the premature down up into the sit. So we're using that upward pressure. Then I wait a moment because sometimes the dogs will read down again, and I'll keep repeating that because I'm telling them not yet.
Like,
Wait for me to tell you. Okay. And then when you're ready, you then add in the pressure. Okay. So whenever you're ready, you can add in that foot. Yep. Yep, yep. Wait. And pet. Atta girl. Good. And break.
Okay.
And we're going to swap handlers.
Okay.
And we're going to repeat that same exercise. Still no verbal cue. Right?
Okay. 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 Okay, so.
And girl.
Good girl.
Right there. Take a little more. Correct. Yep. Yep. Wait a moment. Now praise.
So good. Good job, Bruce. Good job. Okay.
We're going to do 4 more.
All right. Okay.
Break, break, break.
Come on.
Break, break. And the girl.
Come on. Good jerk. Good girl.
Good. Right. Good job. Wait a moment.
Good girl. Oh, I shouldn't get praised.
It's okay. Wait a moment. Very good.
So good. Very good. Good job. Okay.
Excellent. 3 more.
Okay. Okay. Kirby, come.
Nice.
Up.
Right. Light pull up. Yep. And relax.
Good job. Good girl.
There you go. Good. Wait a moment. Now pressure. Yep. And there it is. Good.
Very good. Very good. Good job.
We're gonna do 1 more.
Okay. 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 Good job.
Right. Very.
Very good, Kirby.
I'm gonna have you keep her in position, but keep your foot where it is.
Okay.
Okay. Good. So, see how more quickly that was getting
Yep.
in terms of her response. So, the first thing I try to do with certain commands is create what I call ease of response. It should be very quick before I title it.
Okay.
Typically. So, like for recall, we did the no words, just tapping, conditioning, and then it became Kirby talk. Because if the dog's in the learning phase and I say come and it takes me 3 minutes before the dog actually does the return, it's just pick up again. Okay? So here we're trying to make it so it's down, immediate response. So the purpose of all this is to condition Kirby that there is another, yet again, answer for the remote pressure to turn off. In this case, it's to go in this position. The dog's first instinct typically with down is to go away, which happened, I think, on the 3rd or 4th one you did, right, when she shot off.
She was like, yeah, I'm gonna go say
Yes. So
someone else make it stop.
Yes. So we work her through that. We go, nope, that's not the answer. We want to. One of our daycare dogs. Is that it's another answer for turning off that pressure. Okay. So by stepping on the leash, you're actually limiting her range of motion. Because if you try to, one way that we do teach it is we put pressure on the shoulders and we press down and back, because typically a dog's body folds like this, so it works with them. But what the only issue with that is for some dogs, because it's your hand, they'll turn up and be a little bit dippy. So for the client, I do the leash to see if that'll work first, but I think it's easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So once we get that down, the first thing I always care about is just the downing aspect first. Okay, responding to pressure, laying down very easily. So if I let go of pressure and she shot up, I don't care about it. I care about her just downing in the first place. Once we get it to be very easy, then I worry about down, don't get up. Because if the first one, let's say it took like 20 taps before she did it, and then she got up, and I try to correct that. I'm gonna be there for another, 2 to 3 minutes trying to correct it, and then we're not gonna get anywhere, because she's not gonna process what she's supposed to be doing. So I want the dog to learn first. Just lay down.
Yep.
Lay down very easily. Great. Now that we have that and you have good concept, now it's lay down, and if they get up, it's easy to correct. So stepping on the leash in a tap should send the dog right back down into the position again, right? So it takes off less stressful. So we do things by topic. Okay. So much like the place command, there was 2 aspects to it. There's the go here and go here from a distance, and then go here from all these other places, right?
Yep.
We slowly started changing that topic so the dog can better learn what we're teaching. Here for the down, very similar. So we have the laying down very easily, responding to the cue or the leash pressure or the tap, what have you. And the second part is lay down and don't move for a couple hours. Okay, so this is another stationary command. This one, of course, is much more strict. There's no exceptions to this position. There's no sitting up, there's no standing up. I don't care if she rolls on her back. So I care about function always.
Yeah.
So if Kirby lays down and then you turn around, she's still there, but she's on her back with her legs up.
Got more confidence.
Yeah, I don't care. Okay. So like I had a client. Oh, that's the other thing. I remember now. A highlight from a class was that most trainers train like your dog's going to be doing competition. Okay, so they hold them to those standards. So the client was saying, "Oh, my trainer said that the dog should always be in a sphinx-like position. But that's
really
the depth. It's not comfortable. It's not realistic. Not for 2 hours at a time or whatever, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, they kept stressing it. Not to let the dog do all this stuff." And I'm like, "Forget that. That's training with the different intent. We're training for family pet." Okay. So if Kirby goes on her back, puts her legs up, and says, "If we're gonna be here for a while, this is what I'm gonna do." I do not care. Okay. She's there for the next 2 hours. Awesome. Okay. Whatever she needs to do to get comfortable, but she can't stand and she can't sit up.
Yep.
For sure. Okay. So it's like the same thing with the sits. There's the sit and then there's the hip sit.
Yeah.
Is it like that? I don't care. Okay. So if I know I'm gonna be longer, like let's say you're walking, you want to go stop, you see a friend, Kirby auto sits, you're gonna have that conversation, and it's like, man, this is gonna be a 15-minute conversation. I wouldn't have Kirby sitting for 15 minutes. It's gonna get uncomfortable. She's gonna lay down. Okay. So instead,
Just make her do it.
Yeah,
from the get-go.
boom, great, beat her to the punch, and then I step on the leash. So in case I start to feel some tension on my foot, that tells me Kirby is getting distracted. I can correct her, get legs back down again, and I go back to having a conversation. So with most people, you're walking, you stop, conversation, they forget about this. Okay, and then next thing you know, this is happening.
Yeah.
And people forget. And the other day, it was a couple weeks ago, I saw someone in that exact context. They're talking, the dog's over here, and there was someone coming with their dog.
Oh.
And their dog was like on the flex leash, right? And they're just like
Hanging
this,
out.
Yeah.
yes. And then the 2 dogs meet, and it turned into a little fight. Okay, now it started and ended really quick, right?
Just like the barks and the lunges.
Yes, but the point was, one person wasn't paying attention, the dog had too much freedom. And somebody comes up just assuming, hey, great dog, and then it's barking something, right? So if I stop and my dog is beside me, and I always automatically shorten the leash, so it gives me, I will know immediately if the dog is moving, is they're under control. Because my attention is here. My attention is not here anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I use some kind of strict control to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
So if somebody did show up or whatever, and then something happened, it's not on me. My dog was under control.
Yeah.
Whoever was approaching wasn't being mindful of their dog and just being assuming.
Yep.
Because I've had that as well. Happen to clients. They're sitting at the red light. Their dog's sitting beside them in the heel. And someone just comes up
right behind
from
them.
behind them. You know,
Yeah.
it's the craziest thing.
I like constantly looking because I like have
The paranoia.
paranoia about that. Yeah.
You should definitely be aware, as I always tell people. When I used to walk my dogs off leash, like in the heel and everything, I'd always have one earbud out because I like listening to music, but it'd be this ear because that's where everybody was. And I became very aware of their dog tags and how it sounded when they were with me as a unison, and opposed to when one wandered off.
Yep.
My environment, if I saw someone approaching and maybe their dog was being reactive, I would walk away, give some space, let them go. Then I would move in, go forward. You know, if I would hear like pat, 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 I'm assuming that's a runner. Yep, that's a runner. Get out the way so they can pass on this side, you know? So sound tells you everything, right? So like when I'm here, you might turn around and hear dog tags. And I'm like, is that an off-leash dog? Oh, it's just a person walking their dog on a leash. Okay, cool. So definitely want to be paranoid.
Yeah.
More so aware, but I get where you're coming from. Questions so far about any of that stuff? So she's been down for about 5 minutes. Okay. Now, have you ever applied down as a functional tool?
No.
No. Okay. So obedience is meant for function.
Yeah.
Sit, stay down, come, place, heel. Roll over. It's a fun thing.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't care, right? I don't put remote over that. Give me a call. I don't care.
Yep.
But those 6 commands are the basic family type commands that dog owners want to learn. The trifecta is feel, recall, and some kind of stationary, either place or go down.
Yep.
So that's like the very simplistic. I have don't move, I have come to me, and I have walk with me, right? And it's really contingent on the setting. The way I look at this is, in that moment when you're having that conversation, yeah, you're distracted, but you're not like too distracted.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go to like a restaurant patio where if you drink and you're having mimosas or Bloody Marys, whatever it is, and you have more friends there, there's more distractions.
Yeah.
I would want a more lenient command because it takes off what I have to worry about. So if I just place her, all I worry about is don't get off the place.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about don't get up from this position because it's super strict. Okay.
Right. But it's also like, and I don't know, instinctively I'm inclined to be like more paranoid and be like, okay, well if I'm going to a patio, like we're going in down, my foot's going on that leash because like if you perk up it's because someone's coming, a dog's coming, and like I want to know.
Sure.
And is that like wrong to think about it and like do that too?
Everybody.
I feel like it's like safer. It's like more calm.
Yeah, now I see your argument there, and
Yeah.
that is a perfectly valid argument, right? Because yes, it's pretty strict. In most of my cases, with the owner, they're wanting to enjoy that,
That moment,
brunch,
yeah.
whatever. That they're not wanting to put more work into this,
Yep.
right? But if, like in your case, you're like, I'd rather have more control, and in that kind of setting, because I'm going to be more distracted. That makes complete sense to me too, and I go, absolutely. It's all personal preference. You have a lot of tools in your toolbox. What's going to work best in this environment?
Were you talking like so I'm just calling just like setting, but you're talking about like maybe we say place, but you're just keeping a foot on the leash and you have a pulse on Kirby.
I
Or
mean,
are you
like
talking about literally saying down? And
I'm saying I'm kind of being like, okay, well I'm teaching her place because I want that to be that's like perfect world on a patio. You never get there, but I'm thinking, yeah, first time I ever take her to a patio, it's not place. It's gonna be down on a leash because
got it. Okay.
I wanna,
Yeah. No, I understand.
yeah.
That immediate control,
Yeah.
right? In terms of Kirby, her behavior and all that stuff, right? There's no such thing as a perfect dog, just like
for
there's no
sure.
such thing as a perfect human, right? So don't ever worry about that, because that's some people do come in with that mindset that we're gonna. Yes, I can make dogs 180 and we get some crazy success stories, but it's not realistic.
Right.
We talked about success before.
Yes, yes.
Right, it's not 100%. But I have a much higher success rate because one, at bare minimum, they're able to stop the behavior. And they have so much education that they know how to prevent things, how to intervene, and like all that stuff, right?
Or you feel successful.
Exactly.
So it's just now it's just whatever else.
What else can you, like the icing on the cake, right?
Yeah.
So, let's say with Kirby, if I had her, she was my dog, exact same personality. I am a super confident handler, and I'm also very good about awareness. That if I go to a patio, the other thing you think about is space. How do you utilize space, right? So if I walk in, and let's say we have a wall here, right?
Yep.
There's a bunch of tables here, there's a row here, there's a row here. And here there's going to be the sidewalk,
I
right?
wouldn't be over by the wall.
I would be by the wall. And I'm here, wall, Kirby, lead, right? Because now you give some kind of boundary. The only way that can be screwed up is if somebody came from behind, right? But then if you guys are together, then he's in the eyes that way, right? So when you walk into a setting, think of that as well. Like what's going to make me feel the most control? You can even think about like how would the waiter approach? You know, like you can get really specific. Right?
Oh
in
yeah.
terms of,
Yeah, like well, what direction's the way you're coming from? Like
right? So that stuff I just think about naturally because I do this for a living, right? But dog owners typically don't. They're like kind of they know what they know and what they've done.
Yep.
So then when I propose that to them, they're like, oh, I never thought about that. I'm like, yeah, that's not good. You know, walking by dogs on the street, person, dog, dog, person. Because obedience is heel.
Yep.
My dog owners typically think I can't break from this, and I go, you absolutely can. If the setting of bringing your dog to your right side, so it's dog, person, dog, yeah, because it's under your view, right? Obedience is black and white. It isn't always going to adapt to the world because there's so much gray area. So you can do things, you know, just using that judgment. How do I utilize space? How do I utilize the tools that I have, like the commands that I have? How do I utilize common sense? I'm like, yeah, walking past, I can't step aside. I have to walk past.
Yeah.
What gives me the most control? Oh, bringing Kirby over to my right side. Or taking over the left and forcing that person to come over on this side, you know? So it gets deeper than just the dog training aspect, but that kind of primes you and gives you the most confidence of like, okay, cool, we've done a lot of stuff. And then let's say you got the setup and the waiter's coming. I'm just gonna assume maybe Kirby's gonna have a moment, right? So then I'm ready. I have my remote, it's already up and all that stuff. Maybe she gives a low level grumble, a little tap there. She settles, goes on her hip, lays her head down, has that conversation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it can go a number of different ways. Also, when do you go to the patio?
Well, yeah, that was going to be.
Yeah.
I'm not even in that. I haven't gotten to that point in my brain yet.
Right, but like let's say, like one day I actually sent out my trainer. She did a patio etiquette video. And I told them, you know, go find a place. Everybody had their stuff put up. There was nothing going on, right? So then we tried again another day. And they finally found a place that had people and there was distractions, so it was more realistic, right? Is that for you, maybe you go when there are no people.
Yeah.
And it's just a waiter scenario,
Yep.
right? And then you go when there's only one other table with people there and stuff like that. You know, you slowly work your way up.
Yeah.
And that's if you want to.
No, I want to. But yeah, of course, it makes sense. Just, yeah, don't go to the busiest restaurant at 7 o'clock at night on a Friday with your dog. Like that's
Friday.
Yeah.
And maybe you go and you have some experiences and you go, you know what, like Kirby doesn't seem to have any good time. She's more on edge and stuff. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So like I have another client, similar dog. And I told them, you know, if you want the dog to get more exposure, because they live by a farmer's market, I was like, walk to that farmer's market, right? But then the wife said, I hate farmer's markets. Like, I would never go there. Then they go, it's not realistic. Then we don't go there, right? So I don't make people do what's not going to be applicable to their lifestyle unless they're really wanting to press their dog's behavior.
Got it.
But there may always be that ceiling, at least for Kirby, where she's like, you know what?
Yeah.
My limit is this, and that patio thing is too much for me. Then I go, that's fine. We'll avoid patio. We can still enjoy it by ourselves. But you still got all this other stuff that we achieve.
Yep.
Okay? So there's a lot of ways of looking at it. There's no right or wrong. It's just like what's going to work best for the handler and the dog.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think she could do that. Like the situation we were in this morning actually would be a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, just where was it? That way?
That's probably
Dickens and Halstead.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think.
There's a wall, but I was thinking,
But yeah, it's also just maybe we're trying for like coffee in the morning or like a beer and not like let's have sit and try to be here for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like a quick thing to see.
Okay?
Okay.
Questions about that? So good. We had a little tangent. Probably spoke for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And she's there the whole time.
Yep.
Right? That's how this stuff works. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and release Kirby. We're going to do a couple more with the leash pressure, and then we're going to flip it and start adding in the cue, and see if she'll do it with the cue and the tap without the the leash pressure. Okay, but we're gonna do a couple more just because we took a little a gap there.
Yep.
To get it back in our brain, and then we'll cue it in. Okay.
Okay. Okay. What's up? Hi. Hi. So happy. Hi. Kirby, come.
She's like the dad.
Like my dad's there. I know. Very good.
There you go. That's a good
so
one.
good.
That was a smooth one.
You are so good. Okay. Okay. Hey.
Break.
Okay.
Nope.
You're good.
Right. One more.
Hey.
Yep.
Good girl.
There it is.
Good job. Good job.
So what we're gonna do for this next batch is I'm gonna have your foot ready. Okay. We're gonna try to avoid putting pressure on the neck. If anything, you would just step on it just in case she moves out of position,
Okay.
just to anchor a bit. Okay. You're gonna give the down cue, but you're not gonna use any hand movements or stuff. It's just gonna be down, right? Just that one cue, no finger movements, nothing like that. Just a verbal cue.
Just a verbal, no tap.
And then we're gonna tap. We're gonna follow with the
okay.
tap, but we're not gonna do any hand stuff. I'm trying to remove
Yep.
body language
For sure.
to get that complete verbal cue.
Yep.
And then down. If we see this, perfect. If we don't see it, we're gonna kick in with that tap to see if she will do it. No neck pressure, no visual cue, but through the tap itself. Okay.
Okay, so there's no pressure, there's no tap yet. I'm seeing if she'll just go.
Yeah.
Kirby, okay. Okay.
And a girl.
Okay.
Good.
Kirby.
Down.
Good.
Good
And
job. Very good. Good job.
praise. Her body language is funny. We're gonna do 4 more, okay?
Okay.
Release. Yep.
Okay.
And a girl.
Come on. What's up?
Not, it's actually the boat. It teaches you, and it also teaches you how to speak.
Right. Good job. Right.
Down.
Very good.
Good job.
And there's no taps there, right?
No taps.
Good.
No taps. Good job.
Gonna do 3 more.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Add a girl. Yep. Good. Wait a moment. Good.
Good job. Down.
Add a girl.
Good job. Good job.
2 more.
Okay. Be free. Sniff. Okay.
Sydney waved to us.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, I
didn't
waved
see.
back.
As a Montgomery County driver.
Kirby, come. Good girl. Down.
Good.
So good.
Yep.
Good job. Good job. Okay.
Last one, then we'll swap.
Okay, come on.
Oh, she's over there. Good job. Yep.
Good job. Down. Down.
There you go. All right, so yeah, pick it
Down.
up. Hold on. Wait a second. Wait. So,
Oh.
there. Go
Good
crazy.
job. Good job. Good job. Okay.
And release, yeah. Good. We're going to swap handlers. So right there, what I was trying to see was if you could use solely the tapping to reinforce the down. But then when we gave that little gap of time, she just ended up downing. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Let's go and swap.
And apologies, I'm probably gonna have to head out in like 5 minutes.
Oh, sure. Yeah, don't worry. We'll get a couple.
But,
Yeah, you're good.
Kirby, okay. Okay. Hi. Sit. No.
Yeah.
No. Sit. Down.
Feels right. She did it right just a smidge before you said
Too
it. Yeah.
soon.
You can praise.
Okay.
Okay. I know.
It's like she wants the belly rub, but her tail is like up.
Okay.
So tight.
Yeah, and I'll explain all this stuff here too.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do a couple, and on that last one we'll do 2 more, and on the second one we'll cap it there for her, and then I'll explain how all this is gonna advance. Okay?
Okay.
Like behaviorally.
Yeah.
Down.
Very good.
Kirby. Okay. Okay.
And if you would with Kirby, would you down her right here next to Hannah, please?
Yeah. Kirby. Okay. Kirby.
Take her.
Sit.
Like pull up. Yep. Tap. Tap. Good.
Down.
Yep.
Down.
And wait. There we go. There she goes. And here.
Good
All right.
job.
So
Good job.
we're gonna leave her in position. Okay.
Okay.
The down being a submissive position and using pressure to teach it is typically what creates like a bit of discomfort.
Okay.
Okay. This is my preferred method of teaching down because it does make the dog uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But that's how you build confidence. Because once you realize it's like, oh, like I'm not that vulnerable, it's okay. Pressure goes away. You start to see a more relaxed down. Right. So it's actually better than it was in the beginning. In the beginning, it was really like awkward and she was like kind of like twisted and
Yeah.
broken. Now she's starting to roll on her side because it's easier. Now the brain's understanding like, oh, this isn't that bad. But it's the pressure that makes her feel that way.
She like rolls her back to be like, make it stop. I'm helpless or
Yes,
something.
non-threat.
Yeah.
Right? It looks bad, but whenever I work with insecure dogs, this is one of the things that I like to do because it builds confidence. They're thinking, uh-oh, what's going to happen? Then when they realize, oh, nothing bad happens, oh, okay, that went too bad.
Yeah.
Right? So the other thing is we're doing this back to back to back to back to back to back. Okay?
Yeah.
When I train dogs, I don't drill it this way. I do it for 2 to 3 minutes and then I leave it alone.
Okay.
Right? But I have to teach you to teach her.
Yep.
Right? So you get a more exaggerated response than I would typically see. When you practice this, remember we have 2 aspects. We have the ease of response and then we have application. Is this exercise of back-to-back downs, I would just do again 2 to 3 minutes, real short, 1 session apiece. Once you feel like she's mastered it, which is just down, boom, right?
No tap.
No tap.
Just
And if you
verbal
need to,
down.
Just verbal down, right? Then I leave it alone. Now I just use it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I just go down and I don't repeat it for like 30 minutes because I'm going to have her hold it for me.
Yep.
Okay? It's the redundancy that makes it suck. Okay? I mean, imagine someone telling you to sit, stand, sit, stand, sit,
You're like,
stand.
I get it.
Yes, exactly. So it would be frustrating for a human. It would, of course, be frustrating for a dog. So once you feel like she's mastered it, I go to just pure application. If I cue her down and she doesn't respond, I go to remote as opposed to going to that visual.
Yep.
Okay? Everything's through remote. In terms of practicing duration,
Yeah.
at this stage, I do it whenever she's going to be in my immediate space. You know, kind of like place. If you're going to sit down and watch a movie, if you're going to stop and have coffee here, read a book or something, you're going to be working from home at your desk, you can employ it there. You step on the leash, you do your thing. If you're going to get up intermittently to like use the bathroom or get something to drink, at this stage, before we get up, break, then we stand up, we walk away. Okay?
So
we're
like, don't make
releasing-
her do it if I'm like, okay, well, got it.
Yeah.
Right, you're releasing before you get up to avoid the problem of every time I get up, I get released, and then she's gonna assume she can go.
Yeah.
Because I
You can head out
felt,
if you need to.
okay, yeah. Because I
It's
felt
good
like
to see you again.
Yeah,
See you in a week.
likewise. See you soon. It's all very exciting.
when I was doing plays when we were like working at home, it would just be like next to me in like
Yeah.
the desk. But yeah, I found it's like anytime I would get up, she was like, oh, we're going. Like she was totally fine, was like hanging out, whatever. But every time I would get up, it was like, oh, I'm coming too. So maybe this will help reinforce that.
Yeah, they overlap.
Yeah.
Now, what you can do with place, because you've been practicing it for a week now. is when you get up to go, you're not going to say anything, but she's going to assume. That's where that leash comes into play. And I pick up the leash or step on it and start tapping until she corrects, or I lead her, help her back. And if I'm walking with her back to place as I'm tapping, and you're tapping the whole time. Okay, from the moment she breaks to the moment she repositions, you're tapping to deter her from doing it again.
Yep.
So let's say she gets a good distance away as I'm tapping and I pick up the leash. As you're walking back, you might find that she shoots off towards the place. I stop going.
Yeah.
I let her finish, and then I go back to what I was going to do.
Yeah, she's definitely done that.
Yes, right? Now, if you keep seeing, like you correct me, you've been doing that, but she keeps breaking, then we play with the number. So whatever number that we're using to correct isn't enough to deter her from doing it again in the future. Okay, so if it's 20, then I go to 25, then I go to 30, 35, so on and so forth.
Yep.
Okay. For down, we're at week 1. Okay, at your feet, if you're going to get up,
Release.
Kirby break, we go do a thing, come back, right? Because what we're trying to do is, during the time that she's down at your feet, ideally the dog gets bored, they try to prematurely break, I can correct them, they lay back down,
Yep.
I go back to do my thing. So when we get to week 2, correcting her when I get up and assuming she can follow should be easier. I'm trying to make it so that if I get up and move and she breaks and I tap, she just lays back down again.
Yep.
That was the whole purpose of using pressure to guide her. Because if we skip that step, most people assume, you know, if the dog's down and they get up, I tap them, they should just lay down again. If you don't teach it through pressure, in my experience, the dog shoots off. Because they've never done it before. It's not the assumption of like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, I got up. You have to show her how to resolve pressure by leading, like guiding her with it in the first place. Okay?
Yep.
And then once we get that down, then I go to week 3 where it's okay, you're down away from me 5 or so feet while I'm doing something. Then the ultimate is, all right, you're down across the room from me, and I go upstairs, downstairs, in the kitchen, all that stuff, and she's just there not moving. Okay? If you want that level of control.
Yeah.
For most people, it's the kind of immediate state type of control.
Yeah, but it's still nice. Yeah, it's still nice to, in theory, have that skill set. Go to whether you're not going to go, like, just more, like, go to the trash can.
Right.
Whatever.
In my opinion, the more control you have, technically, the more stuff you're going to be able to do with her. That's ultimately what it leads to.
Oh, yeah.
People look at control like, oh my God, it's bad. I'm like, no, like, you do a ton more stuff. Because you have the capacity. If my dog runs away, call him back.
Well, I think she's, like, happier already. She's like, oh, we get to go and do this now, and I get to go swim in, like, the lake now. Like, cool. I feel like that's, like, more fun.
Yeah. And with anxious type energies, they like, in my opinion, like, it calms them down knowing what to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like my analogy, like for humans, is like the first job I ever had. I was like super nervous and anxious because I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, right?
Yeah.
And then they show you and they teach you, and then you fall into a rhythm, and then you're not anxious to do the job anymore, right? So for dogs, like the world is not meant to have cars and buildings and fire trucks and sirens and fireworks and all these things, right? It's meant to be just nature. So it's a very foreign thing to them, technically, because it's not what life's supposed to be like. That knowing what to do in a setting where they feel uncomfortable makes them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Veterinarian's office is a super common one, where the dog's pacing all over the place, right? So I just down them. When we were in the waiting area, you just down at my feet. That's your job. And she goes, okay, great. Now I can settle, right? So it gives the brain something to focus on and handle what's going on around them.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions?
So basically, it's continuing to like practice down in that way. See if she does it like with the verbal command, then layer in the remote, and then if I need to, like
Use pressure, correct.
And like, it would be good just to come here and like, sit on like a bench for like 5 minutes and just see if she'll.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do. I always put it on the owner, like if that's what you want to do it, right?
Yeah.
Or if that's something you want to do to push her, then do it. Right?
Yeah, I want to push her as far as I can, and I also like, I obviously like being outside.
Yeah, no,
the
it's
idea
nice.
of like
Great
having
time.
fun.
Yeah. Just be mindful if you do come here.
It's a lot.
I can tell you, for the most part, like that bench there, you didn't have any tape, but you have a lot more protection from off-leash dogs at that bench.
Then you do one more.
Because here, they're
Yeah.
usually there, or people walking through here
Yep.
is where we always see the off-leash dogs coming from.
Yep.
So like that bench, the one just north of it there by the trash can, where that little kid is sitting with the blue helmet there.
Yep.
Those two tend to be fine because no one really comes from that direction to help these dogs.
Yeah.
You know. And then you can practice your awareness things, listening to
Yeah.
tags and stuff like that. That's how it works.
Is it bad, like, I'm trying to think, like, if we're here or if somewhere else, just like have her on the long line or like off the show, whatever. Is it too much? You know, she comes, does like the automatic sit. Can you do like a down and then like walk away for a little bit?
Sure.
Like I'm just
Yeah.
trying to think of like,
So
what if I wanted to do that for
you
whatever
can.
reason?
So when because that's how we're actually going to progress, right? So now we've essentially got the 6 commands aside from sit on remote. Okay. So then the second 6 classes, we're going to bring that long leash back,
Okay.
and we start going over everything with the long leash.
Yep.
Now, if you want to jump ahead, you're always welcome to.
I mean, I'll wait. I'm more just thinking like theoretically, but now I know we're going there, so
Yes,
all good.
that's what we do. So that's what the long line is for. Because now that we start adding more things in, it gets more complicated for the dog.
Yep.
So that long leash gives us a means of helping her figure out the answer
Yep.
without with removing flight response. Because what happens for some dogs is they're overwhelmed and they're like, fuck this.
They run away.
And they're gone, right?
Yes.
And then we work them through it, we bring them back, but that's what builds the reliability. Okay. But yes, theoretically speaking, all the stuff that you've learned, you can start transitioning towards off-leash reliability.
Cool.
Okay. So for next class, you'll have the leash again. Yep. And then we'll need it for the following after.
Yep.
Other questions? Good job.
Thanks.
She's come a long way.
Yeah. I feel that way.
For sure.
Feeling good about it.
Yeah, it's nice because, like, I have about 3 or 4 dogs, all anxious type personalities, and everybody's doing fairly well in the progression. But it's funny when I talk to them, and you know who's doing their homework, right?
Oh.
And you have others that you know. It's not that they're not doing their homework, but they struggle with like going higher in the remote and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And just where the dogs are advancing, because before, you know, because we just started filming stuff now. But now I started analyzing and like assessing videos and clients and stuff like that to like help educate people,
Yeah.
even like help other trainers. And it's kind of like, look, here's a comparison, right? Because this is night and day from what I remember from that, even that consultation.
Yes.
You know, class 1 to 2, I remember 2, she was still a little reactive to me. Class 3, she was fine.
Yep.
And ever since then, she's been fine, right? I have a couple other dogs, same way. First class, they were like spazzy, and then they come back class 2 super passive, and it's now like we have proof and visual of what proper e-collar can achieve.
Yeah.
You know, with dogs and owners, of course, that do the homework.
No, I mean, truly so. And I mean, the homework thing isn't even, it's not hard to do. Like,
Just do it.
it's doing what you're normally doing, I'm feeling better about it than like on a prong where I'm anxious or that she's anxious.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I for the most part, my program's tailored around just like train your dog and go about your day. Whereas most training programs is like set time aside, which you know, it's necessary from time to time for the most part. But it's like, yeah, like I can just down the dog when I'm doing computer work,
Yeah.
and I can heal my dog every time I take him out the potty. Like
Yeah.
it's that kind of stuff. So
And I mean, even so, like Luke's parents live nearby, but his dad was downtown with us Friday night, and we took him to the park and we're like doing the back and forth with her and walking her, and he's like, and then we went to his brother's house, and she just like, you know, had her place, and she just like sat happily, you know, napped, and they see her, you know, once a week or so, and they're like, she's just like, in the past 3 weeks has gone from like 0 to 100, it feels like, so it's been good.
yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, concerns?
So,
Well, excellent job. Keep up the good work. Keep practicing. And then if anything else, you let us know.
yep,
And whenever you're ready, you know, because I know with COVID, obviously, that not everybody's having guests come over.
Yeah.
Don't feel pressed on having to like, get that in right away. Okay. The other thing that I just started doing was having Enrique do some of the home stuff.
Okay.
So it'd be a combination.
Yeah.
So we have one client whose dog's a bit more territorial, and she's really kind of nervous about being coming over.
Yes.
So then he would show up, and he's going to work for that case. He's going to wear the suit and everything, and I'm going to be on the Zoom. So I'd be instructing her as he's the guest that's coming in, so we can see his dog going to actually bite the guest,
Yeah.
correct it, and like do all that stuff. So it's kind of like what you would do with a guest, but
Yeah.
you can, if you were curious as to what would Kirby do,
Yeah.
if allowed to, he would show up in the suit. He would come in, you know, we see what she's doing, we would test her, make contact and all that stuff, pet her, press her boundaries. If we see anything, we can correct it, work on it, stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's a potential option as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like that option because I feel like anyone who she doesn't know well, I don't want to like have that be like, okay, hey, you want to be like our guinea pig? Like, this is probably not going to go super great, but do it. And then, like, the people we do have over a family who she doesn't react to anymore.
Sure.
I mean, she's still definitely doorbell rings.
Yeah,
that
that's
still is a
normal.
real thing, but I'm less concerned about that than I am just like, hey, new, like, completely new person.
Right.
Almost kind of new person. So that.
Which, coming into the home, you're going to still see the same stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's him coming into the territory,
Yep.
right? So it'd be a dual thing where I'd be on the Zoom,
Uh-huh.
and then he'd be the one coming over, and then it's like a tag team thing.
Yeah.
So then he's learning more advanced stuff. You're getting to practice that, and then I'm able to coach you all.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'd definitely be interested in that if, obviously, Enrique,
I'm down.
ready for it.
The suit, he's not getting the suit.
Okay, great.
So yeah, 60 pounds or whatever. He's worn it before. But yeah, if you'd like to schedule that and stuff, what I'll end up doing is we'll have to coordinate because it'll be the three of our schedules.
Yeah. It's a lot, I know.
And then I'll put him in contact and stuff. And then see, because right now he's doing Wednesdays. If you guys aren't available like on a Wednesday and stuff, we might have to schedule it like on a Saturday or something, or Sunday or whatever.
We could probably make it work. I think we could make it work on Wednesday.
Okay, yeah.
We're both working from home, so it'd more just be like making sure we can just block that
Time slot.
other
Yeah.
time. I know Sundays are better for us here because it's like every single week, but just one time, obviously.
For sure. Yeah, so we'll plan ahead and then set it up, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Cool. Okay.
Take care. Have a good week.
Thanks, you too.